The problem with software startup culture, Uncle Bob. Hello, I'm Chris Athanas. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they're coming out Tuesday. They said they're coming out Tuesday, and they really think they're gonna make it out this time. And I believe, I'm keeping hope alive, guys. Okay, the problem with software startup culture. What does he say? Let's give DevTools Made Simple a like and subscribe and support their work over there. They do these little clips which I get to react to.
And internet startups, do you think they follow any design and architecture rules?
Yes, yes they do, Bob. Yes, they do. It's called Quick and Dirty. Get it done. We were able to scrounge up $30,000 between us, and we have 6 months of runway. We got this great sweet deal at this office, and if we get funding, we're gonna fill it up with salespeople because we had this guy right here found a market thing. This guy's a expert in AWS, and this person right here does front end UI work, and this guy here knows how to do sales scripts automated. Yes, and what are we gonna do? Architect this thing to scale to billions of people, or we're gonna try and get market fit so we can get to the next round of VC funding, so we can somehow make this thing happen before we have to go back to go get a job at Google or some other startup or go flip burgers. Some people go drive Uber because I would just like refuses to work at Google. I won't drive Uber just to make an ends meet to pay the bills while I figure out and do research on the internet all day and listen to podcasts or I'm gonna go do a security job. I'm gonna go do my security job, and while I'm on the clock doing that, I'm gonna be working on my software and I'm gonna talk to the guy and blah blah blah. And this is so if I haven't previewed this video yet, so if Uncle Bob doesn't say something like that the architecture is these business demands and the minimal viable product and try and get things out and focusing on the customer and focusing on the problem in the space and not trying to expect this thing to be taken over by Google tomorrow, but we're going to get product market fit first, and then we can do stuff after that. If we do product market fit, if we have more customers than servers, and we can pay for this space and this electricity in our lunches, and get meetings set up or get customer adoption or figure out how we get to our stuff to market quickly enough so we can self-support ourselves. If that's part of the architecture decisions, Uncle Bob, then let's talk. But I know he's going to say something else.
Or do they just kind of throw a bunch of code together and hope that something great happens? And in most cases, it's the latter.
Well, of course, Bob, because if we were just sitting down and designing everything out for billions of people like all your enterprise level customers already have, the customers already, then they have time and luxury to do that, Bob. But when you're a scrappy little startup, and do you think AT&T would have improved the Unix if they knew how Ken Thompson was gonna steal, like basically find an unused computer and starts to hack away on it without permission from anybody after he's seeing the failure of Multics about how these corporations try to do operating systems? He's like, no. He just started with a little schedule on an old computer that nobody even cared about in 1968. So, but did he do the full test suite and scaled out for billions of customers? No, Bob. He had 2 weeks to get his operating system up and running. Well, his wife was on vacation, Bob. So explain how we would have gotten Unix in your way, which is building everything around. Everything's got to be tested from the bottom to the top. Just don't slap it together. Don't just create a disk scheduling app and tell your buddy Dennis Ritchie that he thinks you can build an operating system from that. Don't do that. Don't do some wild and crazy thing, Bob. I'm gonna make sure it's tested for billions of customers and blah blah from the bottom to the top, architecting and all of it. It's like, come on, man. That's not how things work in the real world. Maybe he just hasn't been down that. Maybe he's already comes on when product market fit has already happened, or he's not part of that discussion. He doesn't care that how the customers got found and how what their interests are and he just wants to do the code. He wants to do the architecture on the code. Well, how the customer sees and interfaces with the solution is really super important, Bob.
So the startup culture, especially in the United States and particularly in the West in general, the startup culture is a culture of making a mess as fast as you can in hopes.
No, making a mess, Bob. I don't know if it's a mess that they're making. What they're doing is lots of experiments, which, if you're seeing if somebody work in a kitchen and they're experimenting with making food, it may look like there's a mess, but there's a method to their madness. They're not trying to make it. They don't. It's not that they don't care about the mess. Is they have a limited amount of time, money, energy, focus. When we have these 3 people, 4 people, 2 people that we found and convinced them into doing our thing, we don't have unlimited time, Bob, until we can find a way to get these things self-sufficient. Yes, move fast and break things. That is the methodology. It's not sustainable. I don't think everybody said it was, but it is the adventure-driven path that looks messy in order to get to product market fit so you can have a company so you can hire Bobs. Bob, so we can go to your conferences and have money and budget to do that. Guess what? This is how it happens, man. Okay, let's keep going.
That you can produce something that will put you on the exponential growth of profit.
Right, yes.
But this is a very bad strategy, even for...
Very bad strategy, Bob. Everything we use on these damn computers was made that way. Okay, I'm jumping the gun. With bad strategy for what?
For an internet startup.
Why is that, Bob?
Because it forces most internet startups to experience this particular problem, and before they can ever get...
But they wouldn't even exist if they hadn't have done the crazy shit they did to get there, Bob. As the evidence of all the failed companies who didn't make it, who weren't able to get over the hump, who weren't able to cut all the corners properly to get ahead at that moment in time, and just get lucky to get the product market fit enough to get a conference like yours to go to it, to get money to whatever. Yes, this is what are you talking about, Bob? This particular problem of the before
profitable, it kills the company.
No. Okay, wait, let me just listen to what he has to say.
Startups to experience this particular problem, and before they can ever get profitable, it kills the company.
Okay, it's not the architecture. It's a lot of times their focus is not who said. Okay, where is it says that the architecture was the problem? Maybe it's focusing on the wrong market. Maybe it's maybe your taste is bad. Maybe how you're looking at how you're doing it. Maybe your ethics are wrong. Maybe you're focusing on the wrong things. Maybe you're overwhelming the customer. Maybe you're underwhelming the customer. Maybe you're not focusing on the right need where there's a good enough need. Maybe the fruit's too high hanging. Maybe you ever go for lower hanging fruit. Maybe it's too esoteric and strange. And maybe it's too bland, too random. Maybe it's not niched down enough. Why do you think it's just the architecture? There could be 1,000 reasons why.
Most internet startups, especially software internet startups, fail.
What other kind are there, Bob?
Not because they couldn't have succeeded commercially, but because they can't maintain and sustain the cost of the software they're producing.
Right. Yes. This was a big problem. People with the ZERP environment and in general business people not understanding where does knowledge work, and that we can build something quickly, but the maintaining of that thing, because of the way it's built and the way the tools work, it makes maintainability extremely difficult. And you have to do version 2, and they always buck and they always complain because they're undercapitalized, and they think they can keep gambling on the risky thing, and they keep winning, and they think they got a secret that they can just gamble on this stuff and push it to the limit, and where you push the prototype into production, right? And they think they can cut corners with that, and then they don't know, actually, because they've cut so many corners, they actually don't know how to make it robust. And that's why they start to scramble. They have money and they bring Bob into town. That's where Bob comes in and tries to fix their problems. And really, it's just like biting the bullet and going, look, man, you're going to have to rewrite that stuff. It's going to have to be a rewrite. And it's going to be a time when you can't add features, and you're going to be like bringing that stuff up. And it's better just to bite the bullet and rip the Band-Aid and do it all at once. and build it that way once you have product market fit. And if you and not try to maintain and update a prototype that was not never meant to do that. Like it's like a movie set, building out cardboard uh, and packing tape and staples, regular staples from the office, not professional wood like construction staples, like regular staples, and all the woods are like paper dowels from paper towel rolls. It's all that kind of stuff. It's like, look, man, and then you're asking people to come live here. It's like these walls are gonna fall over. It's like, what, could you just fix the wall for now? It's like, yeah, we can, but we're gonna have hundreds of people coming in here. We're not gonna be able to take that. But right for now, could you make it? It's like it's that kind of conversations all the time because they're undercapitalized. Because lots of people are trying to do these things, they don't fully understand what they're getting involved with. They get used to cutting corners with this little negotiation I just talked about. Could you do this? Could you? It's like, yeah, I can, but eventually it's not gonna happen. This is where it gets like the developers are revolting. It's like, because you're asking us to maintain something like it's this paper mache thing, like it's a house or an office building. It's not. It's a paper thing's made out of. It's made out of donuts and it's like with a gingerbread house. It's got little jelly beans on it. It's not meant for people to come inside and use the doors and use it to go use the shower and all. It's not meant for that. And they're like, well, could you this? And it's like, yeah, we can. And it's like, if you say no, they're like, you're being difficult. It's like, no, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm trying to help you out. I understand, like, this stuff's expensive for the exact reasons you're talking about. It's like, it takes too long or it's kind of risky and we don't know. And yeah, that's exactly. Yes. Welcome to the internet.
We all get excited about, Facebook or other internet startups that really made it big, but how many fail?
Most of them
that you never hear of.
And then most of the ones fail. That's why I like to talk about on this channel. I'm like, often it's like, that's the risk. We might fail. We're probably gonna fail. So that you trying to cut the corners is that's a failure mode. That thing of trying to promote the prototype into production, failure mode. They all go down it. So that's why 90% fail, because it's only 10% that go, okay, we gotta bite the bullet, guys. We need to. I understand. I was a developer once. I understand this is a prototype, and you told us it's a prototype, and we're going to throw that away, and we're going to re-ramp it up, and hopefully keep those people around and have a good enough culture that's enticing for people to stay, and they're involved in the process. They're not just kicked out and have the juniors run the legacy. No, we're coming. Everyone's coming along, not just the special lion tiger team or whatever the fuck he called it.
Numbers are astounding. Massive numbers of them fail.
Yeah, most of them. I just explained the failure modes. They all do it. And you try and tell them not to, and they don't want to tell you. And they're like, "You're got a bad attitude of Thanos. You're gonna get him on a pit plan." And Thanos, you're on a pit plan from bringing up the fact that you need to decouple our systems. Our architecture need to be decoupled. Instead of promoting the prototype to production, putting you on a pit plan, buddy.
Would they have failed if they had kept their software clean?
Clean. What the hell does that mean? This whole clean. Man, I'm glad this clean thing's dying. Ugh. So silly. Let's keep going.
Some of them would have. Many probably would not, because they could sustain the effort long enough to grab onto the profit roller coaster.
Right, but they're eventually going to have to bite the bullet at the cost. They're going to have to realize that negotiation tactic is not a long-term tactic of the cutting corners and could you shoulda maybe just for a little this one time right now until we get that has to stop, man. You have to get to the once you got product market fit and profitability, your next goal has to be like to get that system rock solid, because if you're gonna, especially if you see the growth happening, it's gotta be a priority. And that's why a lot of these fail. It's like, no, could you just keep that going? It's like, no, you can't. And they don't want to hear it. And people get fired for saying no. Then they go out of business. So it's a moot point anyway.
Some people worry that, well, we've got to be first. That's the only way to grab onto the profit roller coaster is to be first, and therefore it's just...
Well, that's one way. Or you could actually wait for somebody else to see the market, get a market, and you go and realize that they're stuck. Because they're trying to keep that prototype that's in production keep rolling. They're stuck, and you can go, oh look, I can slice it off, or they kick someone out, and they come back and go, oh look, I can just slice off that little piece of that business right there. Get a couple buddies together and rent an office space for 6 months, and see if we can slice off a piece of that and build it right and build it correctly. And that's those companies usually do very well, but you don't hear about them. They're not big and fancy, but they got 1,000 to 10,000 customers, all paying $1,000 or $10,000 each, and they're doing fine, man. They're set. They're good.
Justified that we make a mess early so that we can grab onto the profit roller coaster, and then we will be able to afford to clean up.
I mean, Facebook and all these other companies, there were already message boards and business systems like that before. It was just some got promoted more, and technology assistant lucky. But there was gonna be something like that. It wasn't like, oh my god, it's a groundbreaking technology.
The mess later.
It wasn't like that at all.
Was Facebook first?
No.
Not by a long shot. Facebook wasn't first. Facebook wasn't second.
I ran a BBS, which was just basically one of these message boards, one person at a time. In 1984, out of my bedroom, I wrote it myself in BASIC. It was basically a little message board. You could download programs, you could download files, and you could leave messages to each other. It was all based on a floppy disk. It was very super bare bones, but it was the same shit, and it was the same flame war stuff was happening back then as happening now. There's a whole BBS thing started when the modem started happening in like definitely the late 70s. By 81 was when I started getting online with 300 baud modems, and there was all kinds of BBSs all over the place. And that's when I started getting into the phone freaking, trying to get, to avoid long distance phone calls. I was a kid. I didn't have money. My parents were broke, but I was clever enough to figure this stuff out. So that's why I figured it out. And there was a whole network of these BBSs. This stuff was not new at all. I was doing that when I was a little kid.
Facebook wasn't third. There were a whole bunch of social networking companies out there. Facebook just happened to hit for some reason, and it's not exactly clear why.
Well, because of how they promoted it with the elite. Because they promoted it as an elite thing, and they started a Vanguard, and they limited how many people got in it, and they also were promoted by intelligence services at the main institutions. They were told this was a way to get into the networks. So, yeah, they all psyoped in. It's like, that's not a mystery.
Whatever happened to MySpace?
Got snapped in two. The intelligence services broke it. Well, they stopped doing things that people liked, right? The thing that people liked about the MySpace is you could totally customize your whole thing to make it ugly or as pretty as whatever you want it to be. And instead of doing a limited set of tools on that, or like letting people continue to do that, with restricted HTML, so there wasn't so many hacking stuff going on there and all kinds of other weird shit. If they still let people customize their page like that, they would probably still be relevant. But combine the intelligence services wanting to do Facebook, just a little bit changing trends, and then them taking away the customization filter, it was like,
was anybody on MySpace? Oh yeah, what happened?
It was huge.
Just didn't hit. For some reason, didn't hit. They did something wrong, but it wasn't because it wasn't because they got there first. Facebook succeeded, not because they got there first.
I mean, these things there's always competition for these things, and like a lot of the reasons that they've been holding the moats are now not the moats are now getting filled in. So you can attack them directly with Campaign. You can attack these things directly with small teams. You can take slices of these companies out. It's totally a doable thing now. Especially if you listen to Alan Kay and Igor Buyinko and how they say you should architect applications from how your application, monolithic, whatever application is, to a fully distributed system. They got it figured out, man. That back in the 80s. Nobody wants to listen to them. They're like, nah, it's stupid. It's performance. It's like, come on, man. It's best. That we already tried it. It's like, no, you haven't tried his stuff. We haven't seen his stuff yet. It's not even small talk. Small talk is just one's flavor of implementation. Kotlin is getting close. I wish we could do JavaScript type stuff in Kotlin, but it's not there yet. But eventually we will. We haven't seen I keep on telling everybody, it's like, we haven't seen the computer revolution yet until we have the stuff that Alan Kay was talking about in the operating system. It has a base of this stuff and, built to be tested and maintained and extended and all this plug-in and versioning and all this stuff is already They can have a system that sets it up so you can do it from the bottom. Everybody gets to stop arguing about these pedantic things. Anyway, give me a like and subscribe if you like my rants, and I will continue my journey with dogging out Bob.